Yeah, back is still fucked up. Dogs are here though. That's good. Dogs are here. You got something in your eye? There we go. There we go. We got it out. Good girl. Okay, so we were going to do this. I spoke about this, I think Monday, this Tales from the Pump thing. And, you know, a lot of people have good stories, especially bartenders and gas station attendants, and especially ones that worked into the wee hours of the night. But I guess it's how I got there we should start, because I barely graduated high school. I graduated with basically a D. So I had been working for the A&P supermarket chain as a produce clerk. And it was a union thing, and people said, well, you know, you're not going anywhere. Why don't you set something up to be an apprentice meat cutter? Well, I knew all the butchers back there because I'd been there for like 2 years. So I figured maybe this is a good career choice because, you know, union thing, this and that and the other thing. Well, let me tell you something. After I don't know how many years of that, it wasn't that long, maybe a couple years of that, I had gotten to the point where these were the most miserable motherfuckers I had ever met in my life. They were all disgusted, they were all unhappy, they were drinking on the job, and things progressed downhill, especially when I incurred the wrath of the new manager of the place, and he got me transferred to Newark, and I wasn't going to Newark. So basically, I quit that job. And the girls had talked me into going to college nights. So I went to this college up in West Patterson called Tom Brock, and by the time I left, I had a 3.67 average, which shows maybe my high school kind of sucked, because you go from a fucking D to a 3.67, that sort of says something. But anyway, the gas shortage came along. I was working part-time as a driver for a drugstore. The whole country was going to shit back then, but my father had a store in Lyndhurst, and across the street from his store was a Getty station. And they needed help with the lines in the morning. So originally my deal was I'd help out with these lines for 2 hours and top off my car and go to school. Well, now I was no longer going to school, so they took me on full-time because honestly, I don't even know what I was going to school for. Everybody was going for liberal arts to stay out of, you know, being a teacher, stay out of going to Vietnam and shit like that. And just for the record, I never dodged the draft. I was classified 1A. My whole attitude was, and what brought me over to 42nd Street and all the other shit was, that basically, all right, maybe I get called up, maybe I don't. I get called up, I die. I know I wouldn't have been a good soldier. So with that whole thing, you know, going to work in the garage, I was going to be trained to be a mechanic, learn the basics. So I would come in at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, between pumping gas and working in the garage. You know, the guys who owned it, Steve and Bernie, would go home at 5, and I would stay to 11 and just pump gas, which led to, you know, meeting some really offbeat characters in some weird fucking situations. Also, when you get off at 11 at night, there was only 2 things to do. Go to the corner bar and get sloshed, or hop a bus or drive into Port Authority and go hang out on 42nd Street and watch movies, which is basically what I did a lot. Because, like I said, you know, with the Vietnam War hanging over your head and the fact that you might die, I wanted to taste it all, you know, sex and drugs and rock and roll, and that's what I did. And luckily, I was never called up. But that whole thing lasted through, I don't know, geez, I was a mechanic, and that was mid-70s up into the mid-80s when things started to change. So like I said, you know, it was like at one point, you know, I was working, you know, 1 to 11 at night and learning how to fix cars. And then, like, you know, things happened. And one thing that happened was, I can get into this now, was for whatever reason, this was right after the gas shortage, most of the stations weren't staying open at night. For some reason, my boss decided to keep this fucking place open on a Saturday night, and he left. Now, I'm there alone with a fucking line of cars with a bunch of rowdy motherfuckers, and I got all this cash on me, and this ain't fucking good. So, it got to the point where one car pulled up, $10 worth of gas, and the guy announces he ain't gonna pay me. What are you gonna do about it? Well, at that point, I had fucking had it up to here with the whole fucking thing. So I said, you're going to pay me, or else I'm not yanking this fucking nozzle out of your car. Well, he makes the mistake of getting out of the fucking car and coming at me. I pull the nozzle out of the trunk and spritz him, and then pull out a fucking cigarette lighter. And I'm like, I will light your motherfucking ass up if you do not fucking pay me and get the fuck out of here. Now, everybody behind him seen this shit. And all of a sudden, they're quieting the fuck down because I'm really fucking pissed off here. I don't know who I'm more pissed off at, him or my fucking boss for letting me deal with this whole fucking deal. So, the cops fucking came because somebody said I was out of control. I told the cops what's going on. I'm being fucking harassed here. The cops suggested I shut down, which I did. My boss showed up. We had a fucking war of words. I said, you left me in a situation where we could have got robbed, and we're lucky we didn't. Unfortunately, that didn't work for him because there was another guy working there. I can't remember his name. I think it was Jack. And he took the Saturday, I think 2 weeks after I was on there. And it wound up that they kept him so busy at the pumps and they had a register in there. He was putting the money in the register and somebody walked in while he was busy at the pumps and cleaned out the fucking register. So then it dawned on my bosses that, you know, something had to be done. They eventually got a drop safe. So that was one fucked up incident, and there was a ton more. So if you're interested, you know, I'll tell you more. If not, we'll switch over to something else. But let me know if any of this shit intrigues you. We'll continue with Tales from the Pumps. So until next time, have a great weekend. Stay safe. It's Memorial Day weekend, actually. Have a Memorial Day weekend. Hope we have another one next year. So above all, stay safe, and we'll catch you on the flip side.